Welcome back to part 2 of this tutorial on SketchUp basics and how to draw a screwdriver using solid tools and the follow me tool for a revolution or a revolve, however you want to call it. Ignore these pieces in the background. We'll talk about those in here in just a minute. So just kind of review. We drew a sketch of this right here and then revolved it about the center line. And now we're going to focus on cutting these grooves out. But first, before we do that, let's say you want a copy of your sketch that you made that you revolved and you don't know exactly how to get that back without Control Z all the way, going back to the beginning and making a copy of it. There is one way that you can do this. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Just get the rectangle tool, go along here, and we're going to hit the left arrow to go against, not against the grain, but with the whatchamacallit until you go to the very end. I put a guide to the very end here. I'm just going to do that. So we're going to triple click it, right click, we're going to do intersect with model, and we're going to go ahead and hide this, and if we now make this a component, that would be great, and we're going to move it along the green axis. Dang you, right there. Okay, so you can see now you have your sketch. I just have it as a component so I can move it, and there you go. So now let's unhide, go back to our main body and unhide, and it still says it's a solid component, which is great. Now if you do this and you do intersect with selection or faces, it'll leave a line down the center of this, making this not a solid anymore. So anyways, that's some good information to know. Now you can do whatever you need. You can also do section cuts with this. Well, actually that's what we just did. There's a section cut, and now you can put hatch marks on that and then make a scene and then put it in the layout so that you have a section view for a drawing. It's kind of a nifty little thing to do. Alright, so let's talk about the next part. I've already made these. Mine are a 1/2 inch in length by 0.15. They can be as thick as they want, but I just did 0.15, and they're 2.5 inches in length, just enough to cover from here and a little bit past. So what we want to do is I'm going to be using the default tools, this default solid tools in SketchUp. I have found that with this particular model, with this revolution, I don't know what it is, but if I try to use Enroth, no matter how big the model is, it says that the output is not a solid. So you can either do it natively by I have a video on how to do solids natively, you can watch that, but essentially it's just putting this block on top of this, exploding this one, cutting it, pasting it in place, and then intersecting the faces, and then removing what needs be. But anyways, let's get moving on. Okay, so we have our center lines, and it seems that it's 0.275 in all directions. So let's go ahead and make some guides. Oops, which view happens to be the back? It's not the back, it's not the right. Wait, is it the right? It is the right view. Okay, so for right now, we're going to take and put it on parallel projection. Now, once we do this part with the guidelines, we'll need to put it back in perspective, or everything, when you try to move components on top of components, they disappear and they get all crazy. So, you need to go 0.275 up, 0.275 this direction. This one is always tricky to grab. So you always want to make sure it says online, or you have the red box. 0.275, not 0.274. 0.275. Okay, so now we have our guides of where we need to place our blocks. So I'm going to place one of them, and I'm going to show you how to do that. See, I can't even see them right now because they're not there. But if you go camera, put on perspective, they're there. Alright, we're just going to take this one, use the move tool, and we want the midpoint. And okay, let's get it at least right to there so I can see it. Okay, we want midpoint. We're going to grab this midpoint right here, and we're going to snap it to this line right there, and then we want the midpoint right here to go up and intersect right there. Now let's make sure we have enough room. Yes, we do. Okay, and actually we don't need all four of these. We can delete that one and that one. No, wait, actually we need that one. Wait, no we don't. I'll show you. Now what we're going to do is this one, move tool, hold control, bring down. I should have just grabbed it at the center point, but I didn't. And you want this midpoint right here to snap on the line. Okay, now let's bring it down a little bit more. Right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to get the others settled. Then I'm going to use solid tools, and we're going to trim or subtract. It does not matter. I usually use trim, and then I'll hide these afterward. So just a quick demonstration on one of them. Trim, we're going to go, I got to remember the order. Nroth is opposite. I want to say it's this from that. And I'll give it just a moment. It's thinking. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hide. Okay, perfect. So notice the difference. The main body is now a group instead of a component. I rather have them components. The other reason why I like using Nroth is because if I were to copy all these and make it one big giant, and copy the components and then make those copies bigger, whatever I do to the copy, it'll do to the smaller, except for some reason these solid tools, they don't copy over on the component level, but Nroth does. But for some reason Nroth is just freaking out with me at this moment. So in fact, let's just give it a shot. Is it still a solid? No, it's not. So let's run solid inspector, see what happened. And it's going to tell me 6 surface borders. Now, sometimes it's hard to see those. And I don't know what it is with this particular tool, but this particular part we're making, I always get errors with a surface border. Always get errors with solid tools. And I do not see anything with surface borders going on. If I zoom in, ooh, yes I do. These little guys right here, see that? So apparently there's 6 of these little things running around, and we've got to find them all. There's another one. So why this happens? It's probably because this might be a tiny face issue, or for kicks and giggles, let's try one thing here. Because I want to, I'm going to click this, I'm going to hit the move button, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to hit the up arrow, and we're going to go down a little bit more. No, that was too far. Along the up arrow, we're going to go right there. I'm going to see if it has anything to do with that. Okay, so let's run trim again, this from that. Let's just do a little experimentation. Might as well, since we're making a YouTube video, right? And if this doesn't work, I'm going to pause it and then get all the solids cut and then resume the video so it's not wasting everyone's time. But let's at least learn together and see what happens. Nope, did not make a solid. Alright. This time I'm going to assume let's just run solid inspector, maybe surface borders, same thing, we have less of them. So running around trying to find where these issues could be is going to be a pain. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and if I can figure out the best way to get this taken care of, I'll let you know as soon as I'm back. So I will return. Alright, I'm back. So here's what I'm going to try. I've never done this before. Let's give it a shot. So we have our main body of the screwdriver. Then what I did was I selected all of the cutting tools, right-clicked explode, and then right-clicked made component. So it's one large component. So let's see what happens using solid tools and if we get anything better using one large cutting tool. So bear with me as I do this. I will be back. Alright, I'm back. So that took about 3 minutes because I have the video recording software on pause, so it's still processing. But with nroth it still said something went wrong, output is a solid. So, but the reason why I chose to do that is because if I did it one at a time, if it's not a solid, I have to go back and fix each little error, figure out why it's not a solid before solid tools will work. So if I do it all at once, maybe I can just go in and, like this for example, we can go in here. I don't know if erasing is going to help that. Nope. So we need to take a pencil tool, a line, and we're going to go from one side to the other, call it good. Sometimes you can get away with erasing. I'm just going to hold the control key and do that. Alright, so let's I have 27 of them and 2 of them. Okay, this is just a bad day for solid tools. Holy crap. Okay, so why it's doing this, I don't know. My guess is because maybe it's just too small, and so the best thing to do is make it large and then shrink back down. So let's give that a shot. So we're gonna go back to the beginning here. Okay. So, alright. What we're gonna do is we're gonna highlight this, move tool, control, click once, hit the right arrow to make it along the red, and we're going to move it over here. Now the thing is, when we make this one larger and we use the regular solid tools, it's not going to copy on the component level. If we used nroth it would, but I have a suspicion it's still going to say output is not a solid. So what we're going to do is make this one large, use the default ones which should work, and then we'll scale it down. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First, grab the scale, select it all. Where's the scale? Click the scale, and then you want it on a corner where it says uniform scale. Just drag it once and then type in 1000. and then Control Shift E. Okay, so now we have this right here. So let's grab these. Let's explode them. Right click, make component, call it large, cutting tools. Okay. So we have this and we have that. Okay, so I'm going to pause it again. I'll be right back, and go ahead and use either subtract or trim and try either the default tools or the NROTH ones and see which ones give you better results for this particular part. So I will return. Alright, I'm back. So as you can see, mine says solid up here. I did in fact use the default tools and it worked just fine. So now I don't like it being a group, so I'm going to right click here in Outliner and say make component. I'm just going to call it, I don't care if it's called difference. Oh, look at that. Yes. Wait. Oh, we need to call it something else. Sure. Screw driver. So give it a second to make, and there we go. So now it says solid. Well, now we have this thing that's, oh god, like 5,500 meters in length. I mean, check out its volume. Look at that. It's massive. So the scale tool, you can't just click on it and then do this and type in 1,000 to scale it down 1,000 times. So, though I wonder if you type in divided by 1,000, it doesn't work. Because if we multiplied it by 1,000, then we just divide it by 1,000. So, let's see. I'm curious. I never used this scale tool. So if I did this and type in 0.001, Control Shift E, does that make it the original? Puts it out. Wow, puts it way out inside of space. So let's move it down here. Control Shift E. Hey, look at that. Now we're back to our original size. Are you kidding me? That's really cool. Okay, so yeah, you just times it by 0.001. That was 1,000th instead of 1,000. I guess no duh, right? Well, I've had 13 semesters of math. I'm an aerospace engineer and a student, and I guess that makes sense. Don't ask me basic arithmetic questions, but you can ask me linear algebra questions and I'll be fine with that. Anyway, okay, so perfect. So now we can actually get rid of this model right here. We can get rid of these lines, and we can get rid of that line. Excuse me. Okay, so that is how we do that. So last thing before we go to part 3, let's move this to the origin. Come on. Fine. Oh, you're gonna be kidding me. Okay. As we're holding all these buttons down, let's just move things to the origin. Okay, I know I can find the center. I've done it before. Move. Why are you having such a hard time? Okay, there's that. So we're going to click it, and we want it to snap right there at the origin. Go ahead. Okay, perfect. That way everything's back in place. Control Shift E, zoom extents. Wow. So, oh my goodness, perfect. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So now you know how to make a section. Now you know how to do solid tools and scale things down and all that fun stuff. So this is where we will end on this one, and then we'll start up with part 3 in just a moment. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.